Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fitaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday, we've got Fantasy Zone 2, specifically the System 16 version found only on the Sega Ages Fantasy Zone Complete Collection. So what kind of taste will this super cute and colorful Shoot 'em Up go and have? Let's get cooking and find out. Fantasy Zone 2, The Tears of Opa-Opa. Let's get cooking. Alright, Pastaria, the first stage of Fantasy Zone 2. So, in Fantasy Zone 2, we're going and piloting the sentient spaceship Opa-Opa. So just a couple things to go and make the title interesting and, not necessarily unique, but more uncommon among shoot-em-ups. We have the ability to go and move left or right, and to go and scroll the stage with us, either left or right. And we can go and move either direction indefinitely, at least until we go and get to the boss fights, then that goes and changes. But it is fun and unique that we have the ability to go either direction. It's kind of similar that way to titles like Defender. So if you were going and comparing it to other type of games of the era, that would go and be what it is. A couple interesting things about this version, though. So, the original Fantasy Zone 2 went and released back in '87 for the Sega Mark III, or the Sega Master System as it was known in the US. And it would go and see ports to the arcade and other systems over time. But one thing it didn't go and receive a port of was System 16 port. Sega's System 16 was actually an arcade board system that Sega went and made that saw its heyday in the late 80s, early 90s. But this game itself, interestingly enough, is one that was programmed for the Sega Ages Fantasy Zone Complete Collection. To go and essentially be kind of a what if Fantasy Zone 2 had gone and come out on the Sega System 16. One thing that's really interesting and unique about the title is that it's actually programmed as if it were a System 16 game. They went and restricted themselves to the arcade architecture of the system and only allowed themselves one minor modern convenience. They increased the amount of RAM. So basically giving what they themselves kind of dubbed System 16C, as there was an A model and a B model of the System 16. That was basically designed for the System 16, and it's running emulated on a PlayStation 2. Which is now going and running emulated on a PlayStation 3. Really all kinds of like mind blown there, right? So, back to Fantasy Zone. So we have this really interesting, unique, vibrant, and colorful version of the title. So how do we actually go and play Fantasy Zone? Well, obviously we go and have two main forms of attack. We've got our gun, which I've been using exclusively, but there's also bombs that you can go and use. They're powerful, but at least with your main one, they go and have an arcing shot, so it makes them a little bit harder to go and use. I have been going and collecting money, and you can go and access shops that will allow you to go and buy better bombs as well as better guns, as well as also faster and more speed. So since the screen goes and scrolls left and right, what we're primarily trying to go and do is go and defeat all of these large bases. And it actually goes and indicates, well, you can defeat them by crashing into them too, but it's not how I recommend doing it. So as you go and defeat them, you can go and see on the bottom of the screen there's essentially kind of like a progress indicator that goes and indicates both where all these bases are in addition to our own position in the world itself. So they'll be blinking white depending on where we happen to go and be. And we just have to go and defeat all the bases, and then we'll go and actually access the boss. There's also portals that go and spawn, so we can jump to the dark side, which is just a different version of the world and kind of more difficult, at least that's my impression of it. We've got 2 more bases left to go and destroy before we're finished. And then we'll be up against the boss. So, for that, I think I'm actually going to jump back to the light side here. Or the bright side. In my little time going and playing it, it does appear that the difficulty of the boss is different between the dark and the bright side of things. Alright, now that all the bases are destroyed, we go and get the boss. Woodpool is this guy's name. So, as far as bosses are concerned, this guy is really interesting in how his damage is displayed. So, his weak point is his nose. And we're trying to go and blast it all the way into his face, and when it does, he cracks into all this money. Which you don't have enough time to go and pick up. Skarkand, the second world. Ooh, so another fun feature of Fantasy Zone is the ability to go and access the shop and go and buy upgrades. So the shops do seem to go and be somewhat randomly populated. There's some items that are always present, like all these various speed upgrades. We're going to go ahead and just buy ourselves a jet engine, because why not? So all these cannons. The problem with the guns is they are... Oh, dang it, I didn't shop fast enough. The problem with the guns is that that is just not fair. The problem with the guns is that you actually have a finite amount of ammunition. So we'll need to go and rebuy that engine that we went and bought. And let's go with the laser beam. And we'll also go and buy a 3-way shot, just in case we have the chance to go and upgrade. In addition, the bombs are the same way. You go and have a finite amount of bombs to go and use if you go and upgrade to anything past your main bombs. It's a little unfortunate, but I guess it's fair, because if you could go and just rely on super powerful weapons the whole time, you'd probably make the game too much of a cakewalk. I'm not 100% sure how many rounds are actually present within the game itself, as I haven't been able to go and finish it. So every once in a while there'll also go and be select balloons, bubbles that go and come up, allowing you to go and change your weapon as well if you've gone and purchased more, if you have other speed options. This laser is actually awesome. That's to the dark side, which in this particular world is a really awesome crystalline. Oh, sweet, I got all the bases. So here's the boss of the second one. Hangmardia? So with this one, we have to go and shoot all the individual segments of the boss. Aw, game over. Well, that's too bad. Anyway, that'll go and wrap up my look at arcade titles, so we also get the fun option of going and putting in our initials. So that'll go and wrap up my look at Fantasy Zone 2 DX, as this version is kind of known, since it's an extra deluxe version that didn't originally exist. I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me for Shoot 'em Up Saturday today. As always, if you go and have other games that you think I should go and have a look at on Shoot 'em Up Saturday, or other games I should go and play on the channel in general, by all means, please go and leave those in the comments below. I'd love to go and hear your suggestions and go and give them a look. Yay, shop already! Once again, thank you so much for coming out and joining me today for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and I hope to go and see you again next week.